Unbelievable twist revealed. Manager laughs at CEO's balance offer, sparking an inspiring change. Every morning Mark awoke before dawn, the sun barely a whisper on the horizon, ready to fight for the heart of his late father's dream. There's something unique about Dad's place. A cozy diner nestled in the gritty heart of a struggling neighborhood. The scent of fresh pancakes wafted through the air, battling the remnants of the night. Coffee brewed like magic, igniting the lives within these four walls. This wasn't just a job. It was a legacy. A sanctuary crafted from love and resilience. A palpable lifeline connecting the community. The regulars started flowing in, veterans swapping tales, families celebrating milestones over steaming breakfasts. There was Harry, a silver-haired veteran with laughter lines etched deep on his face, recounting war stories while tearing into his stack of pancakes. And there was Ella, a single mother, carrying her daughter's tiny hand as they shared a slice of life, giggles spilling over the sound of sizzling bacon. Felt like home. Yet looming over this space was a shadow an aggressive corporate chain was circling, ready to pounce with dollar signs flashing in their eyes. And then came him. The CEO, slick hair and an ego larger than the diner itself. With an all-too-confident smirk, he pulled Mark aside, the weight of his checkbook resembling a guillotine. "You do much better to sell. Why cling to this quaint little diner? It's time to elevate your career," he chuckled dismissively. Mark felt heat rising to his cheeks, an unbearable mix of embarrassment and fury igniting something deep inside him. Was this corporate shark really trying to belittle what he had built? In that moment, an urge to fight surged within him. Mark realized this was more than just about a diner. It was about the lifeblood of a community that fought for its identity. He swiftly organized a town hall meeting, inviting everyone who had tasted the warmth of Dad's place. With each shared memory, engagements, birthdays, laughter, they formed a tapestry of life, love, and belonging. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the diner buzzed with stories, Mark stood at the front, heart racing. The atmosphere was electric, community alive with passion. A voice broke through the chatter. Harry stood, recounting how Dad's place had been a refuge during tough times, how it symbolized their fight against erasure. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, smiles breaking out, eyes glistening with emotion. But suddenly, the CEO barged in, smugness festooning his face, scoffing at the insignificance of it all. In that moment of greatest impact, courage surged through Mark. He faced the CEO, his words ringing clear like a bell. "This isn't just a diner. This is family, this is history, this is us." And right there, amidst the laughter and tears echoing in the diner, the CEO's expression began to waver, uncertainty clawing at the edges of his bravado. Mark had awakened something profound in everyone present: hope, unity, and a fierce resilience. But before the story reaches its resolution, the air crackled with tension. Could Mark truly defend what was sacred and save Dad's place? The chapter hangs, leaving hearts pounding, as the community waits with bated breath for what lies ahead. The tension in the diner thickened, a tangible pulse as Mark stood firm, refusing to back down. The flickering neon light outside cast a warm glow, illuminating the faces around him, fists clenched, eyes daring, filled with the fire of defiance. The regulars who had turned out that night rallied behind him, their collective spirit lifting the air. "Mark's right," Ella piped up, her voice carrying through the crowd. "This diner means everything to us. It's not just pancakes and coffee, it's home." The murmurs of agreement grew louder, echoing back as if they were building a fortress of hope against the cold corporate tide. The CEO's expression turned from smug amusement to confusion. He had clearly underestimated this little sanctuary's power. Mark felt that shift, the weight of the moment anchoring his resolve. He could see Harry nodding in encouragement, and it fueled him to push further. "This isn't just a battle for a diner," Mark continued, voice steady and unwavering. "This is about our community standing together. Every morning we come here to lean on one another, We share our dreams, our struggles, and victories. His gaze swept over the gathered faces, each a testament to the life within these walls. But those corporate sharks? Mark gestured toward the CEO, who floundered slightly at the sudden hostility thrown in his direction. They see dollar signs where we see our lives, our stories. And that's not something we can just sell off. Applause broke out, spontaneous and electric. Each clap echoed the defiance bubbling within. Mark was struck by the sight of Ella's daughter, wide-eyed, clutching her mom's hand. For her and countless others, the diner was a haven to dream big. The CEO straightened, haughtily leaning against the counter. You think this is some sort of emotional affair? That doesn't matter in business. His tone dripped with disdain, but Mark sensed the cracks in his bravado. Then maybe business needs a little heart. Mark shot back, the anger in his chest morphing into a rallying cry. Look around, we're not here for business. We're here for the friendships forged in hard times over cups of coffee. We're here because in a world filled with chaos, we chose this little slice of happiness. You can't buy that. The atmosphere erupted into cheers, each voice rising higher, drowning out the CEO's feeble attempts to regain control. Having faltered, the CEO stared blankly at the thriving community coming together before him. It was clear he wasn't equipped to handle the passion radiating from the diner. His eyes darted, calculating and desperate, assessing the situation. The crowd pressed closer, a sea of unity as they stood shoulder to shoulder. Mark pressed his advantage, sensing the moment like a finely tuned instrument. This isn't just about today. There's power in our unity. If they come for Dad's place, we fight back. We fight not just for the diner but for every small business, for our identity. With that proclamation, the crowd erupted once more, a wave of determination sweeping through them. Yet, even as they stood united, Mark felt the weight of uncertainty within himself. Would that be enough? Could they stand strong against a corporate machine? And then the unexpected happened. As celebrations filled the air, a for sale sign was abruptly planted right outside the diner, a direct challenge from corporate, a stark reminder that the fight was about to escalate. He knew the battle was just beginning. Could they truly hold their ground against powerful adversaries? Mark felt his heart race. The stakes were higher now, and the community seemed to sense that too. Would they be able to withstand the storm ahead? Or would the dream they held so dear be swept away? With that lingering question hanging in the air, the scene shifted. A storm was brewing, and it was time for Mark to uncover what risks they all had to take. Mark stood frozen, the for sale sign glaring at him like a warning shot. The diner's atmosphere shifted, growing dense with uncertainty. Heads turned towards him, eyes pleading for guidance, hope hanging in the balance. Suddenly, the cheers that just moments before felt like invincible strength now echoed like a fragile promise. He took a breath, heart racing. We're not going to back down, he shouted, trying to regain that fierce momentum. This is our place, our corner of the world. We'll show them what we're made of. But the words felt heavier with each passing second. Faced with the intimidating figure of the CEO and the reality of corporate greed, doubt crept in. They were families, friends, and lovers of pancake breakfasts. What could a handful of passionate people do against a corporate giant? Mark's eyes landed on Ella again, her resolve unshaken, her spirit illuminated even in the uncertain twilight. She stepped forward, her daughter still clutching her hand. We're here because we believe in what this diner stands for, Ella exclaimed, her voice rising above the crowd. If we have to fight, we fight. Together. The crowd erupted once more, their collective spirit reigniting the fire inside Mark. The CEO shifted uncomfortably, trying to maintain his arrogance despite the palpable swell of defiance in the room. Let us take it to the next level, Mark said, his excitement peeking through fear. Let us organize. We can rally the neighborhood, share our stories. Every person who walks through those doors, each of you has a tale worth telling. We'll show them they can't buy this place. Applause erupted, hands clapping against tables as the community rallied around him. Ideas sparked. People began shouting their names: Alex, Maria, Hank, as they got swept in the tide of momentum. Plans spilled from their mouths, each suggestion more ambitious than the last. Mark felt a sense of exhilaration wash over him. They could take this fight to the streets. Flyers, social media campaigns, a petition. He jotted down notes while Ella's daughter beamed up at him, eyes wide with admiration. For the first time he thought about this as something more significant than just a diner. If they won this, they might inspire change everywhere. Yet behind his excitement lingered a tight knot of fear. What if they did all this and it wasn't enough? What if they ended up losing everything they had fought for? Just as he was grappling with that, the CEO moved to intervene, smirking as he attempted to regain control. "You all think this is a noble cause?" He laughed, disdain dripping from his words. "Let us see how long that bravado lasts when it's time to face the reality of profit and loss." But just then, a voice boomed from the back of the diner, cutting through the tension. "You don't know these people. You underestimate what we'll do for our diner." It was Harry stepping forward, lined with passion and determination. The cold dismissal from the CEO faltered, his gaze darting among the faces, realizing maybe this wasn't going to go as smoothly as he thought. The murmur of agreement started to ripple through the crowd again, igniting the flames of their resolve. Mark felt the weight of the moment settle in. Their sense of unity, their spirit pushed back against the impending wave of corporate greed. As discussions turned heated, they exchanged ideas and strategies, everyone fueled by the thought of keeping their home alive. Underneath that fervor, Mark sensed a change was coming. But as the diner's door swung open to reveal an unexpected guest, the atmosphere shifted again. He looked up, heart racing, as an old acquaintance stepped in, eyes burning with something more than nostalgia. What would this new development mean for their fight? As the door clicked shut behind them, Mark felt the tension transform into something electric. The stakes had just risen again, and casting uncertainty into the middle of his dreams. Mark's heart raced as he recognized the newcomer. It was Tommy, an old friend who had moved away years ago but had chosen this moment to return, just as their fight for the diner intensified. The last he heard, Tommy was entrenched in the corporate world, his success built on numbers and spreadsheets. But now he stood there, an unexpected beacon, eyes glinting with fervor. The diner's chatter quieted to a comfortable hum as Tommy strode forward, a confident smile breaking across his face. "I heard about the sale," he said, his voice lively. "Figured I'd come see what all the fuss was about. I see I'm not too late." Mark felt a mixture of hope and trepidation stirring within him. "Tommy, you're just in time. We're planning a stand. We can't let them take our diner." Tommy raised his eyebrow, an air of contemplation washing over him. "Sounds like a worthy fight, Mark. But are you ready for the game that's about to unfold? Corporations don't play fair, you have to be smarter than them." Mark nodded. "We know this is going to be tough, but we believe we can make a difference. We're ready to give it everything." Ella stepped forward, eyes radiant with determination. "We need all hands on deck. If you've got connections or ideas, let us hear them." Tommy's smirk deepened. He scratched his chin, glancing around the diner, the faces of hopeful patrons, the heartfelt history hanging in the air like the scent of fresh coffee. "All right, how about we leverage your stories? People will fight harder for personal connections. Each tale, every single memory creates a bond that corporate spreadsheets can't touch." Mark felt the warmth swell inside him. "That's brilliant. We can use social media, share videos and pictures of our experiences here." He turned to Ella, excitement bubbling. "What if we organized a community dinner? Everyone could come, share what this place means to them. It'll be impossible for the CEO to dismiss our stories." Tommy nodded eagerly. "Exactly. The more emotional pull, the better. Let us create a movement. We could flood the internet with hashtags that catch fire, get the press involved. If they see a community rising and fighting back, they won't be able to ignore it." Mark marveled at Tommy's enthusiasm. He had once been the dreamer, while Tommy had embraced the corporate ladder. Now it felt as though they were swapping roles. "How do we start?" "First, we gather as many stories as we can. You might have 60+ years of lives intertwined in this diner. Get people talking, Mark. Build a narrative." Just then the door swung open again, and a familiar face stepped inside, the diner's most loyal customer, Mr. Jenkins, the elderly man known for his $10 bets on pancake eating contests. He shuffled in, cane in hand, with a knowing smile. "What's this I hear about a fight from my favorite booth?" he said with mock concern. The laughter that erupted felt like a pocket of warmth against the encroaching cold of fear. As Mackenzie's signature blueberry syrup aroma wafted through the air, Mark's spirit lifted. The crowd began to buzz with renewed ideas, plans unfurling like the first buds of spring. They discussed flyers, stories, social media tags, even a community dinner with music and fun. But amid their lively chatter, nagging doubts still lingered within Mark. The stakes were gigantic. What if all their plans fell flat? He turned to Tommy again, uncertainty lurking in his heart. But what if they don't care? What if we end up alone? Tommy caught Mark's eye, unwavering in his confidence. Caring is just the beginning. Sometimes it starts with one small action, and it snowballs into something amazing. We'll find our way. Mark took a deep breath, the weight of responsibility heavy yet empowering. All right then. Let us gather those stories. We'll make those who come tomorrow remember why they love this diner so fiercely. Cheers erupted again, but the clock ticked ominously in the background. Suddenly, a glimmer of hope and a looming dread intertwined, demanding their resolve. As Mark glanced at the team gathered around him, a wave of determination washed over him. They couldn't afford to lose what they loved. But the real question loomed. Would their love be enough to win against the powerful forces arrayed against them? The challenge hung in the air, palpable and tense, as they prepared to rally together for a fight that felt deeply personal and perhaps even life-altering. The diner buzzed with energy. Mark felt the excitement in the air as the plan took form, but doubts still poked at the edges of his confidence. With every face in the room lit by determination, he knew there was strength in numbers. Together, they could create something special, a wave of memories and connections that urged people to act. All right, Mark began, gathering everyone's attention. Let us split into teams. One group can start compiling stories and the other can focus on social media outreach. We need to spread the word quickly. We'll need to make it feel pressing, like a countdown to something extraordinary. Tommy clapped his hands together. Enthusiasm contagious. I can help with the social media part. I know a few tricks to engage people. Let us create those hashtags everyone will be talking about. He paused, glancing around the diner before adding, and we should definitely include a call to action. Let us invite the city council members too. We want them to see the heart and soul of this place. The atmosphere thickened with purpose as the plan spread like wildfire. Mark grinned, his worries easing, replaced by excitement. People began pairing off, some jotting down notes, others already pulling out their phones to set up social media pages. As they worked, conversations flowed, and stories began to unravel. Ella leaned against the counter, engaging with Mr. Jenkins as he proudly recounted his first visit to the diner 50 years ago. This place has seen good times and bad. It's like a second home to me, he said, his voice cracking just slightly. I can't let it go without a fight. Mark felt a lump in his throat. The weight of nostalgia wrapped around him, drawing strength from the memories these stories inspired. Each tale spilled into the next, igniting heartwarming laughter and bittersweet tears throughout the diner. They were the lifeblood of the community, and they would rally together. Suddenly, laughter erupted from the back. Mark peered over, spotting a group of young folks who had just come in. Are you guys really trying to save the diner? One of them shouted, a teasing grin painting his face. Good luck. I mean, it's just a restaurant, right? The laughter turned nervous. Mark felt a sting, recognizing the challenge. It's more than just a restaurant, he interjected, stepping toward them, his voice steady. It's a place where memories are made, where we celebrate birthdays, mourn losses, fall in love, and witness life unfold. The guy shrugged, but his smirk faded slowly. Mark pressed on. If you've ever felt at home here, then you understand. You can help us keep it alive, too. Mark's rallying words echoed around the diner. There were nods and murmurs of agreement. Something had shifted. Maybe they could sway young hearts yet. Let us get to work. Tommy cheered, handing out flyers for the community dinner. Let us show them that this isn't just about us. It's about everyone who has ever had a meal here. The room felt charged. It was invigorating to think that they could influence others and spark a movement. As the diner's chatter began to merge into laughter and excitement again, Mark's heart soared. But deep down, the weight of the impending battle stirred unease. This was only the beginning. Mark couldn't shake off the lingering thought. What would they do if the corporation didn't listen? What if all their hard work was still not enough? As the community dinner approached, A mix of anticipation and dread grew tighter. They had found their voice, but would it reach those who mattered most? The time for action was running short. What happened if the very people they needed to inspire remained indifferent? Would their efforts fall flat when it mattered most? As night fell around the diner's warm glow, all they could do was prepare for the next day as the real fight loomed ahead. The sun peeked through the diner's windows the next morning, casting a golden hue over tables and chairs that had seen countless stories unfold. Mark arrived early, sipping his coffee as he flipped through the flyers they had printed the night before. Each one represented hope, connection, and a plea for help. Yet, the knot in his stomach twisted tighter with every sip he took. Tommy burst through the door, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Did you see the shares on social media? We're trending in our little corner of the world." He dropped his backpack, pulling out his phone to show Mark the notifications lighting up the screen. "People are talking. That hashtag really worked." Mark couldn't help but smile. "That essay start. But we need to engage the council. They have to see how much this diner means to the community." Ella strolled in, her brown hair tied back in a messy bun, ready to tackle the day. "I spoke with Mrs. Harper from the senior center. She has got a ton of stories about this place. She wants to be part of tonight's dinner." "Perfect," Mark said, excitement bubbling up. "Let us make sure we gather as many stories as we can. They'll show how essential this diner is, how it threads through the fabric of our lives." As the morning wore on, the diner filled with familiar faces. People trickled in, sharing warm smiles and laughter, ready to lend a hand. The atmosphere pulsed with determination and camaraderie. They were preparing something special. After a few hours, Mark gathered everyone together, his heart racing with anticipation. "Okay, folks, we've done amazing work compiling stories and spreading the word. But tonight is the moment we need to shine. We need everyone, friends, family, even those skeptics, to come out and witness the magic of our diner." A murmur of excitement crisscrossed the room. It was becoming a moment of truth, a metamorphosis for all involved. Mark could see it in their faces. "Let us make sure everyone shares this on their social media. Let us turn that energy into action. And Tommy, I need you to work your magic with those hashtags." Just then, the front door chimed, and the group turned to see Mr. Jenkins entering with a chubby folder in hand. "Morning, all. I've gathered up old letters and newspaper clippings about the diner. Thought they might help." Mark's heart swelled. "That's exactly what we need, Mr. Jenkins. You've hidden a treasure in that folder." "I've lived a full life in this diner," he replied with a nostalgic smile. "Every piece tells a story. Let us showcase it. Perhaps it'll remind others of what really matters." With renewed vigor, they spent the next hours preparing. Laughter echoed as they arranged tables, set up decorations, and planned a thoughtful presentation. Amid the hustle, Mark felt a flicker of worry return, a persistent voice whispering doubts. He couldn't help but think about the council members. Would they really care enough to listen? As the sun dipped low, the diner shone brightly, filled with the warmth of engaged community members sharing stories and laughter. Tonight would mark their effort, but deep down, Mark knew they needed more than just sharing memories. They needed that bridge to the city council. The moment came when they gathered to reveal the plan. Just as Mark was about to address everyone, a wave of nervousness washed over him. What if they fell flat? What if their beloved diner didn't leave enough of an impression? Then, unexpectedly, the door swung open, and in walked a journalist from a local newspaper, clipboard in hand. "I heard there's a community gathering tonight to save this iconic diner. Mind if I stay a while?" Hope ignited within Mark, but with it came a blaring question. Would this be the attention they needed to sway the council? Their voices rose in excitement as they crowded around the newcomer, each story getting pushed to the forefront. Was this the game changer they needed? Or just another distraction in the fight ahead? The stakes had suddenly grown even higher. The clock ticked loudly against the backdrop of laughter and chatter as the diner buzzed with energy. Mark could hardly contain his excitement. The journalist's presence seemed to amplify everything. This wasn't just a gathering. It could be the dawn of something bigger. "I can't believe they actually showed up," Ella whispered, her eyes wide as she nudged Mark. "This could change everything." "Let us make it count," he replied, feeling the fire of determination surge through him. They had spent every moment leading to this night, It had to mean something more. As the gathering filled with people, stories flowed like coffee. Mr. Jenkins encouraged others to share their memories, and soon the room was alive with anecdotes how the diner had been the backdrop for first dates, the center of family meals, and the heart of neighborhood meetings. Each story tugged at the threads of their shared history, weaving a collective narrative that they all cherished. Tommy spun around, capturing snippets on his phone. "This is perfect for social media," he announced, his eyes alight with enthusiasm. "Think of the reach. Just make sure you capture the essence, not just the details," Mark instructed, glancing around the room filled with smiling faces and nodding heads. Someone had brought a guitar, strumming gentle tunes that floated above the stories, creating a soothing background. As the evening unfolded, Mark took a moment to step back, absorbing the pride radiating from everyone. It was as though the diner itself held its breath, hoping to sustain the unity being nourished tonight. "Hey folks," he finally called to the gathered crowd, gathering their attention. "We've shared so many memories. But now let us bring this energy to the city council. Our beloved diner is more than just a building. It's part of us." A resounding cheer went up, as fist pumps and nods spread through the crowd. Mark's heart soared momentarily, but then he felt the familiar tug of uncertainty again. They needed the council to see what he was seeing, the passion, the necessity. But would they even listen? Suddenly Ella raised her hand. "Let us take a big group photo and send it to the council. Show them what they're missing out on." Tommy jumped on board. "And let us hash it out on social media." "No, wait," Mark interjected, sensing the growing chaos. "We need to focus." Just then Mrs. Harper stepped forward, eyes glistening with emotion. "I've been coming here for over 30 years. This diner is family to me. Leaving it would be like losing a loved one." Her words caught everyone off guard, penetrating the fun atmosphere with deep sincerity. There was a moment of shared silence before applause erupted. Mark felt a lump form in his throat. It was moments like these that reminded him why they were fighting so hard. Honestly, if the council were to see this, he thought maybe, just maybe, they would understand. As the night wore on, Mark noticed the journalist feverishly writing notes, occasionally looking up with an approving smile. Was this really the opportunity they had been waiting for? Suddenly, at the crack of a door, the council member they targeted entered. Confusion etched across their face. What on earth is happening here? A hush fell over the crowd, startled gasps filling the room. It wasn't just a surprise. It was the moment they had secretly hoped for. Mark's heart raced. Would this council member take the time to hear them out tonight? Could what had begun as a small gathering transform into something more significant? The atmosphere crackled with anticipation. This was both a chance and a risk. Would it lead to a breakthrough or another obstacle to overcome? As he looked across the gathered faces, brimming with anticipation, Mark felt a surge of hope. Did they have what it took to fight? Was this truly their moment to create change? He stepped forward, anchored by the look of determination from those around him, ready to seize this opportunity and make his case. The air was thick with potential. What would happen next might just define the future of their diner and their community. Would the council member listen, or would they turn away? The council member stood framed in the doorway, their face a blend of confusion and curiosity. The laughter and music behind them faded into a tense silence. Every eye locked onto this unexpected guest. Mark's heart pounded in his chest like a drum, the anticipation electrifying the air. "Good evening," the council member said, their voice tentative but firm. "I didn't realize there was an event here tonight." Mrs. Harper stepped forward, her resolve unyielding. "We're here to express how much this diner means to us. It's not just a place to eat. It's part of our lives. We need you to listen." Mark felt a swell of pride at her bravery. It was exactly what was needed. He stepped up beside her, his palms sweaty but determination guiding him. "What my friends here are saying is true. This diner is a cornerstone of our community. It represents our shared history and our hopes for the future." The council members shifted on their feet, glancing around the room filled with expectant faces. "I appreciate your passion, but we have plans for renovations that might affect this place." Mark felt an icy weight settle in his stomach. This was the very news they had feared. "We know change can be good, but not at the expense of what already exists. This diner is more than just a building. It's memories, friendships, and a support system we all rely on. Soft murmurs of agreement surged through the crowd. Eyes were shining with conviction, faces taut with hope. Mark could feel the momentum building, the power of their unity thrumming through the space. Think about it, Mark continued, urgency spilling into his voice. When was the last time you visited here? Can you remember the stories shared around those tables? The laughter, the comfort? What if you lost that? A moment of silence hung in the air, heavy and poignant. The council member's brow furrowed, and Mark noticed their gaze drift to the faces around the room, people heaving with emotion and resilience. The diner's walls felt alive with the memories etched into them. Ella stepped in now, her voice steady. This isn't just about keeping a diner open. It's about preserving our community spirit, a place where connections happen. If the council can support us, together we can innovate without losing our roots. The atmosphere shifted slightly, an invisible dawn creeping into their faces as the council member's expression softened. I didn't know it meant this much. We have to consider the future, but what are your ideas for moving forward? A ripple of dismay mixed with uncertainty swept through the crowd. This was their chance, but how far could they push? Mark instinctively stepped back, letting Ella lead. Perhaps we can create a proper proposal. A way to highlight the diner's importance and suggest the changes we hope to see. Mark smiled at her bravery. The group began to murmur excitedly, brainstorming ideas. This was what the moment needed, a plan, a direction. Tommy raised his phone in the air again, capturing the energy. Let us share our stories online, present them in the best light possible, and showcase just how special this place really is. As enthusiasm surged, Mark turned back to the council member. Would you be willing to look at our proposal? We want to collaborate, not just protest. The council member hesitated, eyes reflective, before finally nodding a fraction of an inch. All right. Submit your ideas. I'll take them to the council. A wave of elation cascaded through the room, people exchanging hopeful glances and quick hugs. Mark couldn't believe it, they might actually have a chance. Ella turned to him, eyes sparkling. Tonight could be just the beginning. Exactly, he replied, heart swelling. Yet amidst the joy, a cold knot of fear lingered. Could they really sway the council? He couldn't shake the thought that this was just the first step in a long road ahead. As the group began to disperse, talking animatedly about their next steps, Mark felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on his shoulders. They had ignited a fire, but would they be able to keep it burning bright? And as the last notes of the guitar lingered in the air, marking the end of such a pivotal gathering, Mark realized that their work had only begun. What obstacles lay ahead, and would they still be willing to fight when faced with the true tests of resilience and hope? The next few days felt like an emotional roller coaster for Mark. The room at the diner, once buzzing with laughter and resolve, now echoed with uncertainty. He and Ella had been working tirelessly, crafting their proposal with sweet memories and hopes about the diner interwoven throughout each line. But doubt began to creep in like a shadow. What if they don't understand us? Mark worried aloud to Ella as they sat at their usual booth, paper spread before them like a roadmap to a destination they weren't sure existed. Ella looked across the table, the dim light casting a gentle glow on her features. Mark, we have to believe in what we're doing. This isn't just about the diner. It's about us. It's about fighting for something we all love. Her voice was steady yet soft. Each evening, the diner dimmed its lights early, leaving the few remaining patrons to finish their meals in peace. Mark pored over the documents again and again, fine-tuning each word, even though he knew he could never capture the essence of the place. It was so much more than ink on paper. As the deadline approached, the weight of responsibility loomed larger. They'd invited everyone in the community to share their stories in the proposal, testimonials of joy, hardship, support, and love found within those walls. They hoped the council member would see the diner through their eyes. The day finally arrived for Mark to present. Standing outside the council building, he felt a knot in his stomach, twisting tighter with each passing second. Is this really going to make a difference? He asked, more to himself than anyone else. Trust yourself, Ella replied, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. The warmth spread through him, a flicker of courage igniting against the chill of apprehension. As they stepped into the building, A sense of formality swept over the group that made Mark gulp. Council members, sitting stiffly in their seats, scrutinized them with expressions that ranged from indifference to mild curiosity. "We appreciate you all coming here today," the council chairperson remarked, scanning the lines of anxious faces. "Please begin." Taking a deep breath, Mark stepped forward, heart racing. He delivered their proposal, each word laced with the essence of what the diner meant to them. But as he spoke, he felt heat rising to his cheeks and the weight of silent judgment pressing down on him. When he finished, a stillness enveloped the room. The council members exchanged distant glances, but none spoke immediately. Mark's stomach churned, fear knotting tighter. He searched their expressions for any glimmer of understanding. Finally, the initial council member who had attended the diner broke the silence. "That was unexpected," they said, leaning back a little. "We don't usually hear this kind of passion firsthand." The tension in the room seemed to lift slightly. Mark felt a hint of hope bloom anew. "Can you explain a bit more about what the future of the diner could look like?" Another member inquired, looking intrigued. Just as Mark began to elaborate on ideas for minor renovations mixed with community events that celebrated their history, a loud noise echoed from outside. The sound of laughter gradually built, soon followed by a crowd spilling down the steps of the building. Confused murmurs rippled through the council, and Mark turned to see the community had arrived, armed with banners and a wave of unwavering spirit. Tommy led the charge, a bunch of sketched posters in hand, outlining their favorite diner moments. "We refuse to lose our place," he shouted, his voice ringing true and urgent. The crowd joined him, their cheers filling the air with unfiltered support. Mark's heart soared. They had come together once again, united as they had in the diner, all fighting for the same thing. He glanced over at Ella, who met his gaze, eyes wide with surprise and joy. Yet a new wave of dread rolled through him. Could their collective voices create enough change in the council? And just as the cheers reached a crescendo, the council chairperson stood, raising a hand to silence the onlookers. "We will take your sentiments into consideration," they said, their tone serious. But Mark knew the stakes were still high. This isn't over, he thought, resolve hardening in his gut. What if the moment they needed was yet to come? Would they rally again or falter in the face of authority? The pressure was mounting, and everything hinged on the next steps they would take. How fierce could their voices be? And would it be enough? The very future of the diner depended on it. The community buzzed with electric energy, a fierce determination radiating from every corner of the diner, as they gathered again for the crucial meeting. Mark stood at the front, flames of hope dancing in his chest, though uncertainty simmered underneath. The council's response hung heavy in the air, each person shuffling in anticipation as they shared their anxious glances. Mark raised his hand and the crowd quieted. "We've fought so hard to save this diner," he said, his voice steady despite the weight he felt on his shoulders. "We've rallied for our roots and connected generations through stories, laughter, and memories. But we need to keep that momentum going. We can't let up now." The diner erupted in cheers, voices mingling with clinks of coffee cups, and the smell of pancakes that hadn't yet cooled. Ella squeezed Mark's arm, and he could see the determination in her eyes mirrored throughout the room. "Let us prepare our next move," she called out, and the atmosphere surged with enthusiasm. "We need to organize rallies, share more stories, contact local media. We can't just stop until they realize we won. Back down." "Exactly." Tommy stood, his usual tone now a commanding presence. "We'll flood social media with videos, photos, anything that shows we're a united community. This isn't just about Dad's place. It's about us and what we stand for." Spurred on by their ideas, Mark felt his worry begin to lift. They gathered into small groups, ideas bouncing around like popcorn. Harry volunteered to tell his war stories to local schools, spreading the word about the diner's legacy. As plans took shape, Mark noticed Mr. Jenkins rifling through his folder of old memorabilia. With a spark in his eye, Mr. Jenkins held up an ancient newspaper clipping. "Look at this. It's a picture of the diner from when it first opened." The room went silent, the gravity of their history settling in. Mark's heart raced. "Let us showcase our past. We can host an open house, share all these stories, bring the community together, and invite the city council to see everything we've done in one event." It's not just saving a diner. It's about preserving a part of our identity. Fueled by his new vision, they quickly began to assign tasks. As the days raced on, the diner buzzed with excitement and anticipation, transformed by a wave of community spirit. This event was no longer just about pancakes and coffee. It was a declaration. They wanted their stories, their histories to echo far beyond these walls. The day of the open house arrived. Crowds gathered outside, swelling as people from all corners of the neighborhood poured in. The scent of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweetness of homemade pastries, a feast for the senses that wrapped around everyone's heart. Mark stood by the entrance, watching as families parked their cares at the door. Children rushed to the booths, joy lighting up their faces. A sense of togetherness filled the air. They had built something beautiful, something far beyond what the corporate world could ever grasp. As the crowd mingled, Mark spotted the council members arriving. They stood at the edge of the room, their expressions puzzled as they took in the community's warmth. Ella, all smiles, beckoned them inside. "Come see what we're bringing to life here," she encouraged. With hesitant steps, the council members entered, their apprehension slowly replaced by genuine curiosity. The place was alive, bursting at the seams with laughter, music, and countless stories shared. "Mark, come on over," Tommy shouted, gesturing toward the makeshift stage they'd set up. Mark felt a nudge from behind. It was Ella smiling brightly at him. She knew they had no choice but to share what their community was all about. "I'm honored to have our council members here," Mark began, his heart thumping in his chest. "You've heard our stories, seen the faces that care deeply for this diner. But today is about showcasing our love for this place." Laughter erupted as Mr. Jenkins recounted his first visit 50 years ago, the room hanging on every word. Voices rose. In an uplifting chorus of memory, there were poems, songs, and impromptu storytelling that wove their collective tales, strengthening their bonds amidst the community. As the sun sank lower, a sense of unity enveloped the diner. Mark felt an overwhelming wave of relief wash over him. They had taken a stand, but now it was time to act once again. "Let us take this momentum into the council meeting next week," he declared. "Let us tell them how much we really want this diner to thrive. They need to hear every single voice here." Applause erupted, voices chanted, "We stand united." Mark looked around, every face blooming with hope, every heart determined to fight for what they believed in. It was a robust tapestry woven with threads of perseverance and love, and together they created something unstoppable. As the night wound down, Mark and Ella stood outside, watching the last patrons leave with smiles on their faces. The air was electric with excitement and promise for what was to come. The fight wasn't over, but they felt ready for anything that lay ahead. "Together our voices are powerful," Ella said, linking her arm with Mark's. "Absolutely," he replied, his heart swelling with pride for what they had accomplished. "And we'll keep fighting to make sure Dad's place remains a vital part of our community. This is just the beginning." And with that, surrounded by the love and warmth of their friends, family, and neighbors, Mark knew they were on a path toward a brighter future that was theirs for the taking. "Let us go on this journey together. Don't wait, not even one more second. You need to subscribe now to stay with us for every valuable moment of this fight. Leave a like now to fuel our progress and support us. Comment below how this story has touched your heart, and share this with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation. Join us, your support is important. Together we can make waves."